Picture a blood-soaked Montana valley in 1876, where 2,500 native warriors stand victorious over the fallen soldiers of Custer's 7th Cavalry. A Cheyenne warrior lifts a ticking pocket watch, its pulse a mystery, and a golden beard, preserved as a trophy of triumph. This is not Custer's last stand, but the Greasy Grass, a fierce defense of a stolen homeland. Why was this native victory buried for over a century? Why did the world glorify a reckless defeat while silencing the voices of Wooden Leg and his kin? Step into the dust of Little Bighorn, where truths long hidden demand to be heard. June 25, 1876, dawned over the Greasy Grass, the Lakota name for Montana's Little Bighorn Valley, where the air buzzed with the pulse of life. Stretching 3 miles along the river, 1,200 teepees housed 8,000 Lakota Sioux, Cheyenne, and Arapaho souls, their camp a vibrant tapestry of laughter, smoke, and the soft nickering of 15,000 horses grazing in the morning mist. This was no mere village, it was a nation, united in defiance, as historian D. Brown described in Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. The Black Hills, sacred to the tribes and promised, forever, by the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie, had been overrun by 15,000 gold prospectors since 1874, shattering U.S. pledges. Now, the Army, led by Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer, hunted them, their mission fueled by greed and broken vows. At 6:30 a.m., 12 Cheyenne scouts climbed a ridge overlooking the valley, their breath catching as sunlight glinted off metal in the distance. "Long knives," whispered Black Fox, 22, pointing to blue-coated figures advancing, 600 soldiers of the 7th Cavalry, as Thomas Marquis recorded in Wooden Leg, a warrior who fought Custer. Wooden Leg, a 19-year-old Cheyenne warrior, tightened his bowstring, his pony's flanks damp from days of flight. "Our horses tire," he told his father, Little Wolf, his voice steady but heavy. "Yet we fight for our kin." The camp stirred, women securing children, warriors smearing war paint, red ochre and black charcoal, in patterns of spiritual protection. Sitting Bull, 45, moved through the teepees, his presence a quiet command. "We defend our home," he declared, his eyes scanning the valley's ravines and cliffs, a defender's fortress, as Robert Utley noted in Cavalier in Buckskin. The tribes weren't ready for war. Exhausted from a sleepless night, many warriors had only bows, lances, and war clubs. Just 1 in 4 carried rifles, ammunition scarce, as Wooden Leg later recounted. In a council tent, Sitting Bull met Crazy Horse, 36, whose reputation for battlefield cunning was unmatched, and Cheyenne chiefs like 2 moons. "Their rifles speak loud," Sitting Bull said, gripping a medicine bundle. "But we move like the wind, unseen." Crazy Horse nodded, his feather glinting. "The valley is ours." The stakes were dire. Custer, infamous for his 1868 Washita massacre of Cheyenne families, sought to repeat that brutality, as he wrote in My Life on the Plains. General Alfred Terry, underestimating the camp at 800 warriors, had sent Custer to scout, not attack. Yet scout reports, delivered by Iroquois courier Red Star at 7:30 a.m., warned of 1,500 to 2,500 fighters. Custer dismissed them, his ambition blinding him to the truth. This was the largest native coalition the Plains had seen, nearly 3,000 warriors strong. Why did he ignore the signs? Why has Wooden Leg's vivid account, detailing tactics, triumphs, and trophies, been buried for over a century, while Custer's defeat was spun into legend? A lone eagle feather, caught in the grass, trembled in the breeze. What plans unfolded in the camp? How would the tribes face the coming storm? By 9 a.m. on June 25, 1876, the Greasy Grass Valley pulsed with urgency. The Cheyenne scouts' warning, blue-coated soldiers approaching, spread like wildfire through the 1,200 teepee camp, home to 8,000 Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho. Wooden Leg, 19, gripped his bow, his 6-shooter heavy at his side, as he joined 500 warriors mustering near the river. Major Marcus Reno's 175 cavalrymen forded the 50-yard Greasy Grass, their hooves churning mud, aiming to scatter the village, as Robert Utley noted in Cavalier in Buckskin. But the tribes were ready. They come to destroy us, Sitting Bull had warned, his voice steel. We fight as one. A young Cheyenne, Swift Deer, 17, eager to prove his bravery, broke ranks, charging alone toward Reno's scouts. Fool, shouted Wooden Leg, signaling 4 warriors. They galloped wide, bows drawn, scattering 3 Crow scouts allied with the army, saving Swift Deer, as Thomas Marquis recorded. The skirmish, brief but fierce, lit the fuse of battle. Arrows hissed, answered by Springfield rifles' cracks. Nearby, tragedy struck. Jack Red Cloud, son of Chief Red Cloud, rode proudly, his war bonnet trailing. A cavalry bullet felled his horse. Protocol demanded he remove the bridle to show composure, but fear gripped him. 3 Crow scouts lashed him with quirts, snatching his bonnet, leaving him humiliated, as Wooden Leg later wrote. Another blow hit close. White Wolf, 30, drew his rifle from its scabbard, but it misfired, shattering his thigh. His cry pierced the chaos as women dragged him to a teepee, blood soaking the earth. Our warriors fall before the fight, Wooden Leg muttered, checking his own weapon. Sitting Bull, on a ridge, watched the chaos unfold. Their lines are rigid, we are the river, he told 2 Moons, gesturing to the valley's ravines. The warriors' plan, draw fire, stay mobile, let arrows rain. A child's lost moccasin lay trampled in the dust. Why did Swift Deer risk all? How would the tribes turn chaos to advantage? By noon on June 25, 1876, the Greasy Grass Valley roared with war. Major Marcus Reno's 175 cavalrymen, pinned in a cottonwood grove after their failed charge, faced 1,000 Lakota and Cheyenne warriors, as Thomas Marquis recorded in Wooden Leg, a warrior who fought Custer. Wooden Leg, 19, loosed arrows from a ravine, his 6-shooter ready. Our arrows fell like rain, he later wrote, noting their bows, firing 12 to 16 shots to the Springfield's 1, outpaced the soldiers' rifles. The valley's cliffs and gullies shielded warriors, turning the terrain into a deadly ally, as Robert Utley described in Cavalier in Buckskin. Reno's men, outnumbered 6 to 1, formed a skirmish line, but volleys faltered as warriors galloped in arcs, drawing fire. Sitting Bull, watching from a ridge, signaled to Gall, a Lakota leader, tighten the circle. Hundreds crept through ravines, their war cries chilling. Reno's line broke, 40 men fell, and survivors fled 200 feet up the bluffs, pursued relentlessly. Wooden Leg saw a soldier's hat roll into the dust, blood-streaked. North, Custer's 2 10-men crested Last Stand Hill, aiming to flank the village. Gall's 800 warriors, using the valley's slopes, cut them off. Arrows arced high, horses bucked, unseating riders, as Wooden Leg noted, their mounts went mad. The warriors' tactics, mobile units, indirect fire, terrain mastery, shattered cavalry cohesion. Custer, expecting panic as at Washita, found defiance. Within an hour, his command crumbled, bodies strewn across the hill. A broken bugle, glinting in the grass, marked their rout. Why did these strategies triumph? How did the Greasy Grass shape the battle's outcome? What truths were buried with the fallen? By 2 p.m. on June 25, 1876, the Greasy Grass Valley was a crucible of chaos. Major Marcus Reno's 175 men, battered and bleeding, clung to the bluffs, their retreat a rout costing 40 lives. North, on Last Stand Hill, Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer's 210 men faced annihilation, as Gregory Michno detailed in Lakota Noon. Wooden Leg, 19, joined 800 Lakota and Cheyenne warriors led by Gall, their war cries echoing off 200-foot cliffs. They stood like stones, then broke, Wooden Leg later wrote, describing Custer's men, pinned by a hail of arrows and Winchester volleys, as recorded in Wooden Leg, a warrior who fought Custer. Custer, expecting to crush the village as he did at Washita, misjudged the 2,500 warrior coalition. His men, armed with single-shot Springfields, faltered against rapid-fire bows and captured rifles. Warriors crawled through ravines, loosing arrows in high arcs that pierced horses, sowing panic. Horses bucked, men fell, Wooden Leg noted. In a chilling claim, he saw soldiers turn pistols on themselves as the noose tightened, a controversial account disputed by historians but affirmed by Cheyenne oral histories. Within an hour, all 210 lay dead, Custer's body marked by 2 wounds, heart and temple, untouched, a sign of respect, as Lakota accounts confirmed. Wooden Leg, wielding a captured rifle, chased stragglers. With warrior Little Bird, he struck a fleeing soldier, seizing his weapon. He fell still, Wooden Leg recalled. A shattered locket, glinting among the dead, held a faded photo, a soldier's last tie to home. Why was Custer's defeat so swift? Did despair drive men to suicide? What secrets died on that hill? As dusk settled over the Greasy Grass on June 25, 1876, the battlefield fell silent, save for the soft tread of warriors among 268 fallen soldiers of the 7th Cavalry. Wooden Leg, 19, walked deliberately, his captured rifle slung across his back, as Cheyenne and Lakota collected rifles, ammunition, and curiosities, as Thomas Marquis recorded in Wooden Leg, a warrior who fought Custer. Pausing at a body, Wooden Leg noted a golden beard, light yellow, shining like the sun. With care, he scalped half the face, preserving the beard as a trophy, proof of his valor in the battle that crushed Custer's command, as D. Brown described in Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. Nearby, a Lakota warrior held a pocket watch, its ticking startling. "It lives," he exclaimed, passing it to Wooden Leg, who pressed it to his ear. Tick, tick, it pulsed, like a heartbeat. Soldier medicine, they agreed, baffled by its purpose, a stark symbol of the cultural chasm between tribes and army, as Wooden Leg later recounted. Another warrior lifted a bloodied journal, its pages scrawled with names, left unclaimed. These trophies weren't mere spoils, they were markers of a victory against invaders who broke the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty. 6 Cheyenne had fallen, their bodies borne away for burial, while Wooden Leg's friend Noisy Walking, pierced by 3 bullets, clung to life. At camp, Wooden Leg showed his father, Little Wolf, the rifle and tobacco taken from a soldier. "Your horse tires," Little Wolf cautioned, but Wooden Leg's resolve held firm. A dropped bullet pouch, glinting in the fading light, lay untouched. Why were these relics revered? What did the ticking watch reveal about the clash of worlds? Why was this victory's story silenced? As night fell on June 25, 1876, the Greasy Grass Valley glowed with the flicker of campfires. The Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho, 8,000 strong, celebrated their triumph over Custer's 7th Cavalry, a victory that left 268 soldiers dead. Wooden Leg, 19, stood among 2,500 warriors, his captured rifle a testament to their strength, as Thomas Marquis recorded in Wooden Leg, a warrior who fought Custer. Charcoal Bear, a Cheyenne medicine chief, raised a sacred buffalo hide atop a pole in the camp center, its shadow dancing under the stars. Drums beat a low rhythm, warriors circling, recounting their deeds, as D. Brown described in Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. Wooden Leg's father, Little Wolf, spoke proudly, "My sons fought bravely." The young warrior, once called eats from his hand, stepped forward. Charcoal Bear, eyes gleaming, declared, "You are Wooden Leg now, named for your courage." The camp roared, the name sealing his valor. Yet, Sitting Bull, 45, tempered the joy. In a council with Crazy Horse and 2 Moons, he warned, "More long knives come," foreseeing the Army's vengeance for violating the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty. "We move at dawn," he decided, the camp to vanish like mist, leaving only trampled grass. 6 Cheyenne had fallen, their bodies prepared for burial with sage and songs. Wooden Leg mourned Noisy Walking, still alive but wounded. A warrior's beaded pouch, dropped in the rush, lay near the sacred pole, unnoticed. Why was this celebration fleeting? What did Wooden Leg's new name signify? How would the tribes evade the coming storm? By June 27, 1876, news of the Little Bighorn disaster reached the east, igniting a firestorm. The New York Herald screamed, "Massacre," painting Custer's 268 dead as victims of a savage ambush, as D. Brown noted in Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. America, celebrating its centennial, reeled. Custer, a Civil War hero who ghostwrote dispatches, was ripe for myth. Elizabeth Custer, widowed at 34, fueled this with Boots and Saddles, 1885, casting him as a martyr, ignoring his Washita atrocities, as Robert Utley detailed in Cavalier in Buckskin. Wild West shows, like Buffalo Bills, reenacted the Last Stand, casting native actors, sometimes battle veterans, as villains. Wooden Leg's account, dictated to Thomas Marquis in the 1920s, offered a Cheyenne view, a strategic defense of the Greasy Grass, not a massacre. Yet, it was sidelined. Why? Textbooks, shaping national identity, glorified Custer, omitting the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaties betrayal, when 15,000 prospectors invaded the Black Hills. By the 1920s, the American Book Company faced backlash for excluding Custer, as Plains states demanded his legend, per archival records. Native voices, like Wooden Legs, were dismissed as unreliable, their 2,500 warrior triumph buried under tales of savagery. By 1881, most Cheyenne, including Wooden Leg, were confined to reservations, their victory erased by policy like the Dawes Act, as Brown chronicled. A tattered newspaper, blowing across a reservation, bore Custer's face, not Sitting Bull's. Why was Wooden Leg's story silenced? How did Elizabeth Custer shape a nation's memory? What truths lay hidden in the ink of those headlines? Today, the Greasy Grass whispers its truth through the Little Bighorn Battlefield National Monument, no longer a shrine to Custer but a dialogue of history. In 1983, a prairie fire cleared the site, exposing cartridge cases, arrowheads, and a soldier's watch, frozen at 3:22 p.m., as Nathaniel Philbrick noted in The Last Stand. Archaeological digs, using metal detectors and GIS mapping, confirmed Cheyenne and Lakota tactics, mobile units, hierarching arrows, shattered Custer's 210 men, as David Eagle's studies showed. These finds, echoing Wooden Leg's account in Wooden Leg, a warrior who fought Custer, validated native oral histories dismissed for a century. In 1991, the site's name changed from Custer Battlefield, and in 2003, the Indian Memorial rose, its circular design honoring 2,500 warriors beside the 7th Cavalry obelisk, as D. Brown's legacy in Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee inspired. Lakota elder Singing Hawk, 70, whose grandmother fought at 16, shares Wooden Leg's story with schoolchildren, "We defended our home." Rangers and native guides, like Cheyenne Two Eagles, detail the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaties betrayal, when 15,000 prospectors stole the Black Hills. Smartphone apps trace the valley's ravines, revealing terrain's role. Textbooks, once silent on the treaty, now grapple with genocide's shadow, though progress lags. Lakota activists, citing the treaty, contest the Black Hills theft in 2025 courts. Wooden Leg's golden beard trophy and ticking watch, symbols of a fading world, live in oral tales. A sage bundle, left by Singing Hawk's grandson at the memorial, sways in the wind. Why does the Greasy Grass endure? How can we honor Wooden Leg's truth? What does this battle teach about justice today?